Hey guys, I hope all is well. Thank you for joining me for this Patreon exclusive. In today's episode, I'm joined by my wife Dee.
Hi everybody, I hope you guys are having a great day.
We're going to be talking about the recent Madonna child trafficking situation. Let's get right into it. I want to start this video off by stating that we're living in twisted times. This stuff that we're going to be talking about today has always been taking place, but now it's happening much more, and nobody is doing anything about it. A couple days back, I saw an article that completely disturbed me in every way. The moment I read the article, I knew exactly what was going on. According to many articles online, Madonna is being accused of human trafficking and child exploitation by the Ethiopian World Federation. They claim they have discovered problems in Madonna's 4 child adoptions of her kids, David Branda, Mercy James, and twins, Esther and Stella. According to the articles, Madonna lied to the government and the guardians of the children in order to illegally adopt these children and then use them for disturbing social experiments and human trafficking. According to articles, authorities are suspicious of Madonna's charity that operates in Malawi called Raising Malawi. They believe she is using the organization as a front to abuse and traffic vulnerable children. The Ethiopian World Federation is asking the president to restrict Madonna access into the country and prevents her from having any more access to more children. According to the articles, all the biological families of the children are reporting that Madonna lied to them when trying to adopt their children. For example, the parents of her oldest adopted son, David Banda, has accused Madonna of tricking him into allowing her to adopt his child. Johan, David's father, states that Madonna told him that she would only temporarily adopt David just to provide him with a good education and then return him back to his father afterward. She also lied to the courts and told them that Johan was an absent dad in order to convince the courts to allow her to adopt David. Now, there's many concerned people that are suspicious of Madonna's intentions with these children. The Ethiopian World Federation claims that Madonna is using her oldest son David for some sort of twisted social experiment and sexual exploitation. Madonna then repeated these same actions to the family of her second adopted child, Mercy. Mercy's grandma was sick and had no choice but to place her granddaughter in an orphanage, and that's when Madonna came along. Mercy's grandmother only allowed Madonna to adopt their child until she made it to grade school. But Madonna, just like she did with David, adopted Mercy, took her to the States, and her grandma never saw her again. The grandma was begging Madonna to allow her to see her grandchild before she dies, and Madonna refused. And again, it's a very similar story with the twins she adopted. It's obvious Madonna is exploiting the adoption system to kidnap and traffic children, to do God knows what with. She is literally out here stealing children, and no one in the US seems to care. Considering the accusations, you would think Madonna, human trafficking would be the biggest headlines all over media, but not at all. If you simply Google Madonna right now, nothing but basic information about Madonna comes up. A bunch of articles pop up, but none talking about her being a monster human trafficker. The reason this happens is because America is controlled by disgusting pedophiles. The pedophiles are the billionaires who own these large media companies, and they're not going to allow these stories to be ran on their platforms. These billionaires use these children in occultic sex magic rituals that Crowley wrote about in his book of Sex Magic. Crowley wrote about having sex and abusing children for occultic power, and it's not a coincidence Madonna is doing this, as she shows plenty of signs of being an occultist. I have done a full video on Madonna on my main channel that you guys can check out. We can see Madonna time after time showing her Masonic alliance. She is an occultist, and in my opinion, she is most likely stealing these kids for ritual practice. We just saw this with the whole Balenciaga thing with the Baal sacrifice theme. The billionaires are testing the waters, and they're seeing how people are reacting to pedophilia in order to normalize it. They've realized that for the most part, people aren't accepting of it, but most people simply don't care because they're consumed by the agenda. The Masons protect these pedophiles as they all participate in this disturbing behavior. That's the reason Jeffrey was allowed to rape and traffic so many underage girls with the government knowing. Jeffrey was protected by the government because of what he was doing, and I don't ever think that he truly died. Who knows how many children Jeffrey raped and probably even murdered, as so many kids go missing every year. Madonna is taking advantage of underprivileged families in order to literally steal kids. We can see that she's using her son to push the Lil Nas X agenda. This should open so many people's eyes. My biggest thing about this is how much the media is refusing to cover it. If you go on right now and you search through Google and you try to find anything about this, you have to literally search Madonna human trafficking. But let's say if you search up a situation like Tory Lanez, you don't have to search up Tory Lanez prison or Tory Lanez jail or none of it. All the negative things are going to pop up about Tory Lanez. But since they're trying to protect Madonna, they're trying to keep the information away from the mainstream. What do? None of the major media companies cover it.
Definitely, it was not something that was made big of. The first time I even heard of it was on social media itself, somebody exposing it. I went right to Google because, you cannot always believe things that you see on social media, and I was not able to find it until I literally typed in Madonna sex trafficking allegations, and that's how I popped up. That's how I got it to pop up, and not a single news coverage in the US has covered it, which is fishy within itself. You're telling me all the other countries have covered it, but the US for some reason is trying to keep it under covers and quiet.
That does not make sense at all, because it'll make sense if Madonna wasn't from America and if she wasn't bringing the kids to America. But this situation is literally kind of taking place in America. She's going over to an African country, coming back with children. It doesn't make sense how America wouldn't want to investigate to see what she's doing with these kids, especially when we see her 16-year-old son. That's a 16-year-old kid, and D, you just made me aware of that, as I thought he was much older. The way that Madonna has him dressed and the way that he appears to be, it looks like he has this mature look about him. And Madonna has him dressing like a female. That's what they're saying. They don't think this is a decision the child is making on his own. They think that Madonna is using this child to push some sort of Lil Nas X agenda.
Yes, definitely. I've seen several pictures of him already wearing long dresses and a lot of jewelry and, more feminine hairstyles.
What's very interesting about this all is that in 2022, 2023 is when all this information is starting to spill out and pour out. People's reaction is what's scaring me the most. Most people just don't care. When the whole Balenciaga situation went on, I remember speaking to a few of my close friends and trying to see how they felt about it, and they simply just didn't care. They didn't care that Balenciaga was literally showing the world that they were molesting children, that they were using these kids for rituals and satanic purposes, and nobody batted an eye, The people that cared, they usually care about all this stuff already. But the people that should have been woken up, who should have seen things for what it really is, for some reason, they just didn't react to this information, Let's go back to Madonna. I always find it suspicious when any celebrity goes to these countries and tries to get these kids and bring them back here. It almost seems suspicious, why wouldn't you get a child from America when we have here in America, we have several children. There's foster homes full of children. There's a lot of places for them to get these children here. But I feel like they leave the country to get these children in these other countries, these third, fourth, fifth world countries, in order to be able to dodge all these legal procedures, and so that it'll be less tracked what they do with these kids.
Definitely. And there is many people who actually do go across these to do adoptions. It's more of the way that she did her adoption, the way that she told these the family members, I'm going to take your child to give them a better education for a certain amount of time, that they will be returned to you. She technically kidnapped these children. And while you were on the Balenciaga thing, the whole entire time that Balenciaga stuff was going on last year, the end of 2022, she was over here pushing Balenciaga so hard. I remember seeing her almost nude on TikTok, holding a Balenciaga bag, wearing Balenciaga clothing in many other videos. Even though all of that scandal was happening, not once did she stop to say anything, nor did she not wear the clothing brand. She continued to wear it and continued to push the agenda because she knows what it stands for, and she obviously is a woman who stands behind that type of stuff.
That's very alarming, considering the fact that she has this charity for children, that she's trying to work hands-on with children, and then she's openly supporting a company while they're being blasted for being monsters, for being pedophilic monsters. She's over there openly supporting them. That should show you her intentions with these children. She's bringing these children over here and supporting the company that's literally telling the world that they're sacrificing these children to the god Baal. That's a very, very, very disturbing fact. That scares me. With my own son, the world that we live in, you know how these kids go missing literally every day. I think a large majority of these kids end up in the hands of the elite. And that's just my opinion, because these kids never get seen again. People think that they would traffic these kids outside of the country, but I don't think that's the case. I think they take these kids and they use them here, like they were doing in Wales with the Kidwelly sex cult. They had kids kidnapped for years, and they were bringing them, trafficking them, taking them to these sex parties, these satanic sex parties, where they did Aleister Crowley's sex ritual magic. This is a big thing. I'm never really allowed to talk about this on YouTube because if you say sex on YouTube, you get targeted and they start to censor your content and they'll restrict it from people being able to see it. So I tend to stay away from even talking about Aleister Crowley's sex magic. A lot of pop culture is based off Aleister Crowley's sex magic. Like when we look at the female celebrities, all that over-sexualizing and all that showing themselves and all this, that's what Aleister Crowley preached. Aleister Crowley spoke about sex being free will, where everyone just has sex with each other and no one cares and there is no consequence to it, because Aleister Crowley said that you were your own God. And the only law was the law of love. That whole message of love is love and this about love, that is actually Crowley's message. That's what people don't understand. That's what Crowley was preaching. God does not tell you to love sin. God tells you to love God. You understand? It's a very different thing. We are supposed to love each other because we are God's creation. We are a part of God. But sin is something that God forbid. Crowley told you to love yourself, forget about God, sin, do whatever you please, and live life as your own God. This is what Crowley preaches, and this is literally what our world is based upon today. This is what pop culture preaches. This is what the females and the males in pop culture preach. We have the men telling the kids, kill, destroy, do whatever you want, get what you want. And then you have the female artists instructing the females to be sleeping with all types of men, not valuing themselves, over-sexualizing themselves, and making everything about sex. This is the agenda, and it's being pushed directly in our faces with most people openly accepting it. Because nowadays, if you think about it, having sex with a lot of women, living a fast lifestyle, being a big gangster, all that stuff is praised. All that stuff makes you cool, makes you relevant, makes you important, when it's really the things that are created to destroy you and everybody around you.
Most definitely. Everything between TV, social media, even music is destroying our community, is destroying the people in our world because of the messages that are being displayed across all of that stuff. Nothing that I see anymore is ever really positive. Everything has literally done a nosedive. It's just ridiculous. And, I definitely don't put anything past Madonna, because we see all of the stuff that she has done, the performances she's had that are very satanic, the pictures that she has posted, her music videos, all of it links back to, ritual stuff. So who is to put any of this that's being said about her, these allegations that are being said about her, past her? Since she is a person who looks like she dabbles in that stuff, it would definitely be something that she would do.
No, it's not that something that she would do. It's something that I believe she is doing. This is what they are accusing her of, and the proof is in the pudding. She did bring those kids over here. The guardians of these kids are legitimately saying that they didn't give her the permission to keep their children, She literally, like you said, just kidnapped these kids. I feel like America needs to do something, but we know that they won't. Because like I said, here in America, they protect pedophiles. They give them BS sentences and release them back into the world, just make them register as a sex offender, and it's all good. You can continue your life as normal. But in reality, I believe that a pedophile is just as bad as a murderer. If a murderer gets 20 years in prison, I believe a pedophile should get the same or even worse. I don't think that pedophiles should be allowed to walk among us after 1 year, after 2 years, after 3 years, because guess what? Pedophiles are always going to be pedophiles. If they were attracted to little kids once upon a time, chances are they're still going to be attracted to little kids. When do you hear people stop being attracted to what they're attracted to?
That is the point that people seem to fail to realize. People think that pedophiles can go in and then come out and be rehabilitated and not be a pedophile no more. Are you telling me if you're attracted to women right now and I put you somewhere, you're just not going to be attracted to women when you come out anymore? And on top of all of that, they're really trying to normalize pedophilia. They want it to be normal, and for us normal people to understand why a grown person has feelings for an innocent child. They want us to be okay with that.
It all goes back to Aleister Crowley's book of sex magic. You guys, I need you guys to understand that it's not a coincidence that in his book of sex magic, he spoke about all these rituals, he spoke about all the satanic things that are going on right now, and he literally said that he was going to bring in this age. He said that he was chosen to bring in this age where Satanists are allowed to be free, where you can do as you please, do what thou wilt, where you have no consequences for your sin. He said he was going to bring in this age where you can use these children for your satanic rituals and do whatever you want with them. Because like he said, do what thou wilt. That is the whole of the law. That is what he represents. And unfortunately, we're seeing it firsthand. At the end of the day, I honestly believe Madonna's not going to see any consequences for this. They're going to sweep this under the rug. She's going to pay a bunch of people off and everything's going to go back to normal. The people that run the industry are going to get behind her and make sure she's good. But at least you guys know who Madonna truly is. And at least you guys know to protect your children. This is why I wanted to do this episode. Because at the end of the day, the media isn't going to cover it. The media isn't going to tell you guys the truth. They're going to hide this. They're going to suppress it. And they're going to hope that you guys never come across it. But like I always say, guys, we have to remember that every day we wake up, our souls are at stake. And we must also remember to help those who can't see the truth find the truth. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you all for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
Goodbye, everybody. I hope you guys have a great day.